To understand the mind of an overthinker is to understand a machine that has no off switch, a mechanism that was designed for survival but has been hijacked by the complexities of modern life. Imagine a room with 1,000 televisions on, all tuned to different channels, all at slightly different volumes. And you are the only person in the room trying to find the specific channel that will tell you everything is going to be okay. This is the baseline existence of the chronic overthinker. It is not merely the act of thinking a lot. Intelligent people think a lot, creative people think a lot, and problem solvers think a lot. Overthinking is something different. It is a parasite of the mind. It is the act of thinking about your thinking, the spinning of wheels in the mud, the expenditure of massive amounts of mental energy without any forward motion. It is the distinct and exhausting sensation of being trapped inside a labyrinth of your own making, where every turn leads to a new what if, and every exit door is locked by a new doubt. To truly grasp the psychology behind this, we must first look at the biological roots. The human brain is not designed for happiness. It is designed for survival. For the vast majority of human history, the threats we faced were physical and immediate. A rustle in the grass meant a predator. A strange smell meant poison. In that environment, the hypervigilant brain was the winner. The person who sat around contemplating the beauty of the clouds was eaten. The person who worried, who obsessively scanned the horizon for danger, who replayed the events of the hunt to figure out what went wrong, that was the person who survived to pass on their genes. We are the descendants of the warriors. We are the children of the anxious. But the problem arises because we have taken this ancient, high-performance survival hardware and placed it in a modern software environment that it does not understand. We are no longer scanning the horizon for lions. We are scanning an email from a boss for a slightly aggressive tone. We are not analyzing the wind for a storm. We are analyzing a text message from a romantic partner that didn't have an emoji. The biological reaction is the same. The cortisol, the adrenaline, the fight or flight response. But the threat is ambiguous, psychological, and often entirely imaginary. The overthinker is a person whose survival instinct has turned inward, identifying threats in the abstract future and the unchangeable past. At the core of overthinking lies a fundamental illusion, a lie that the brain tells itself to justify the torture it puts you through. That lie is the illusion of control. The overthinker believes, on a deep and often subconscious level, that worry is a form of work. They believe that if they just think about a problem hard enough, long enough, and from enough angles, they can control the outcome. They believe that by imagining every possible worst-case scenario, they are protecting themselves from pain. It is a form of magical thinking. We tell ourselves that if we worry about the plane crashing, we are somehow keeping it in the air. If we replay the awkward conversation we had at the party 5 years ago, we can somehow fix the damage to our reputation. This is why it is so hard to stop. To the overthinker, stopping the thought loop feels like negligence. It feels like taking your hands off the steering wheel of a car moving at 100 miles an hour. They equate worrying with caring, and they equate overanalyzing with being responsible. To let go, to surrender to the flow of life, feels dangerous. It feels like inviting disaster. This need for control is usually rooted in a fear of uncertainty. Uncertainty is the kryptonite of the overthinker. The human mind craves patterns and predictability. It wants to know cause and effect, but life is inherently chaotic, random, and unpredictable. The overthinker cannot tolerate this ambiguity. When there is a gap in information, for example, when someone doesn't text back immediately, the overthinker does not wait for the information to arrive. They fill the gap, and they almost always fill it with a monster. They invent a narrative to explain the silence, and that narrative is rarely, they are busy or their phone died. The narrative is, they hate me, I said something wrong, or they are abandoning me. The overthinker creates a story of catastrophe to fill the void of the unknown because, to the anxious mind, a known disaster is preferable to an unknown possibility. At least if I decide they hate me, I know where I stand. At least if I decide I'm going to fail the test, I can prepare for the failure. The ambiguity of hope is too painful to bear, so the mind rushes to the certainty of despair. There are two primary directions in which the overthinker travels, and both lead to misery. The first is the time machine to the past, which we call rumination. This is the archaeology of regret. It is the obsessive replay of history. The overthinker looks at past events not as memories to be cherished or lessons to be learned, but as evidence in a trial against themselves. They scrutinize every interaction. Why did I say that? Why did I wear that? Did they notice my hands shaking? They analyze the micro-expressions of others, convinced that everyone else is remembering their mistakes with the same high-definition clarity that they are. This is the spotlight effect. Another cognitive distortion where we believe we are the main character in everyone else's movie. The truth is that most people are too busy worrying about themselves to remember your awkward moment from 2016. But the ruminator does not believe this. They live in a museum of their own failures, polishing the glass cases, staring at the exhibits, trying to figure out how they could have done it differently. But the past is stone. It cannot be changed. And so the energy spent on rumination is energy poured into a black hole. It generates heat, shame, guilt, sadness, but it produces no light. The second direction is the time machine to the future, which we call worry. This is the realm of what if. The overthinker is a master playwright of tragedies that have not yet opened. They look at the future and see a minefield. They do not see opportunities. They see potential embarrassments, potential failures, and potential pains. This is often driven by a perfectionist streak. Perfectionism is not the desire to do well. It is the terrifying belief that if you are not perfect, you will be rejected, unsafe, or worthless. The perfectionist overthinker is paralyzed by the idea of making the wrong choice. This leads to analysis paralysis. A simple decision, like which laptop to buy or what to order for dinner, becomes a high-stakes moral dilemma. They research, they compare, they read reviews, they ask friends, they agonize. Why? Because they believe there is a singular right choice that leads to happiness and a wrong choice that leads to ruin. They do not trust their own ability to handle the consequences of a suboptimal decision. They want a guarantee before they act, but life offers no guarantees. So they stand at the crossroads, thinking until the sun goes down and the opportunity passes. This mental churning takes a profound physical toll. The body does not exist separately from the mind. When the mind is racing, the body is listening. Overthinkers often suffer from chronic exhaustion, not because they have run a marathon, but because they have lived through 1,000 wars in their heads while sitting on the couch. Their cortisol levels are chronically elevated. They hold tension in their jaws, their shoulders, their stomachs. They suffer from insomnia, the classic curse of the overthinker. The moment the lights go out and the distractions of the day fade away, the brain says, "Finally, it's quiet. Now let's review everything that could possibly go wrong in the next 10 years. Sleep becomes a battleground. The lack of rest then makes the brain more susceptible to anxiety the next day, creating a vicious cycle of fatigue and frailty. The overthinker is often tired but wired, unable to relax, because relaxation requires letting down the guard, and the guard is the only thing keeping the imaginary lions away. We must also consider the impact on relationships. Overthinking is a relationship corrosive. The overthinker often needs constant reassurance. Because they cannot generate a sense of safety internally, they seek it externally. They ask, "Are we okay? Are you mad at me? Do you still love me?" repeatedly. At first, a partner may be comforting, but over time, this constant need for validation becomes a drain. It essentially asks the partner to carry the emotional burden of the overthinker's anxiety. Furthermore, the overthinker often reads meaning into things that have no meaning. A partner comes home tired from work and is quiet. The non-overthinker thinks, "They are tired." The overthinker thinks, "They are losing interest in me. I must have done something. Is it because of what I said at breakfast?" They then react to this imaginary scenario, perhaps by becoming cold or defensive, or by becoming clingy. The partner, confused, reacts to this strange behavior, which then creates an actual conflict. The overthinker has successfully manifested the very distance they were afraid of. This is the tragedy of the self-fulfilling prophecy. By treating the relationship as fragile, they make it fragile. There is also a deep connection between overthinking and the concept of self-worth. At the bottom of the spiral, beneath the worry about the job, the relationship, or the money, there is usually a core belief that says, I am not enough. If I were enough, I wouldn't need to worry so much. If I were smart enough, capable enough, lovable enough, I could trust myself to handle whatever happens. But because I feel fundamentally inadequate, I must over-prepare. I must outthink life because I cannot simply live it. The overthinking is a compensation for a lack of self-trust. It is a way of trying to build a fortress of intellect around a frightened child. This is why intelligent people are often the worst overthinkers. They have a high-powered engine, their intellect, and they use it to dig deeper holes. They can rationalize their fears with complex logic. They can construct elaborate arguments for why they shouldn't try, shouldn't trust, and shouldn't hope. Intelligence does not immunize you against anxiety. Often, it just gives the anxiety a larger vocabulary. So, how does one break free from this prison? If the walls are made of thoughts, how do you use thoughts to dismantle them? This is the paradox. You cannot solve an overthinking problem with more thinking. You cannot analyze your way out of analysis. You have to step out of the mind and into the world. The first step is awareness, or what psychologists call metacognition. You have to realize that you are thinking. This sounds simple, but it is profound. Most of the time, we are lost in the thought. We are the character in the movie. Metacognition is stepping out of the screen and sitting in the audience. It is the ability to say, I am having the thought that everyone hates me, rather than everyone hates me. This slight distance is the beginning of freedom. You start to observe your brain as a separate machine, a noise generator. You realize that just because you think something, it doesn't make it true. Thoughts are not facts. They are mental events. They are like clouds passing through the sky. You are the sky, not the clouds. The clouds can be dark and stormy, but they cannot harm the sky. When you observe the thought without engaging with it, without fighting it or believing it, it eventually runs out of fuel. The second antidote is action. Action is the enemy of overthinking. Anxiety lives in the gap between the stimulus and the response. The longer you wait to do something, the more time your mind has to populate that gap with monsters. If you need to send an email and you wait 5 minutes, it is a task. If you wait 5 hours, it is a burden. If you wait 5 days, it is a nightmare. By taking decisive action, even imperfect action, you close the gap. You move from the realm of the theoretical to the realm of the actual. Reality is almost always friendlier than your imagination. The actual phone call is rarely as bad as the movie you played in your head about it. The actual workout is never as painful as the dread of the workout. Action gives you new data. It grounds you. It takes you out of your head and into your body. This brings us to the importance of the body. You cannot think your way into relaxation. You have to feel your way there. The overthinker lives entirely from the neck up. They have severed the connection to the torso, the limbs, the breath. To stop the spinning mind, you must anchor yourself in the physical world. This is why exercise, cold showers, deep breathing, and meditation are not just wellness trends, but essential survival tactics for the overthinker. When you sprint until your lungs burn, you cannot worry about your 401. When you step into freezing water, your brain has no choice but to focus on the immediate sensation. These shocks to the system reset the nervous system. They force the consciousness back into the present moment. And the present moment is the only place where overthinking cannot exist. Overthinking is always about the past or the future. The present is too narrow, too immediate, for the bulky machinery of worry. In the true now, there is no problem. There is just this breath, just this sensation. Another powerful tool is the practice of externalizing. Overthinking thrives in the echo chamber of the skull. When thoughts loop around in the dark, they grow distorted and monstrous. When you get them out, they shrink. Writing is one of the most effective ways to do this. Journaling is not just keeping a diary, it is a form of exorcism. When you write a fear down on paper, you can look at it, you can see it for what it is. Often, You realize how ridiculous it sounds. I am afraid that if I wear this shirt, everyone will think I'm a fraud. When it stays in your head, it feels like a valid threat. When it is written in blue ink on a white page, it looks like the neurotic scribbling that it is. Talking to a trusted friend or therapist does the same thing. It exposes the thought to the light and air, where the bacteria of shame and fear cannot survive. We must also address the concept of acceptance. The overthinker is constantly fighting reality. They are thinking, this shouldn't be happening, or I shouldn't feel this way. This resistance creates a second layer of suffering. There is the pain of the situation, and then there is the pain of resisting the situation. Acceptance does not mean liking the situation. It does not mean giving up. It simply means acknowledging that what is happening is happening. I am feeling anxious right now. I made a mistake. This person is unhappy with me. When you accept the reality of the moment, you stop wasting energy trying to deny it. You drop the rope in the tug of war, and strangely, when you stop fighting the feeling often softens. What we resist persists. What we accept transforms. If you give yourself permission to be an overthinker, if you say, okay, my brain is doing its spinning thing again, that's fine, that's just what it does, you take away the shame. You stop overthinking about your overthinking. It is also crucial to cultivate self-compassion. Overthinkers are notoriously cruel to themselves. They bully themselves for not being calmer, for not being more decisive, for not being better. But you cannot hate yourself into a version of yourself that you can love. You cannot criticize yourself into peace. You have to treat your anxious mind not as an enemy to be defeated, but as a frightened child to be comforted. Your brain is trying to protect you. It is doing a bad job of it, perhaps, but the intention is survival. When the worry starts, instead of getting angry, try saying, "Thank you, brain, for trying to keep me safe. I know you're scared, but we've got this." We don't need to run the emergency drills right now. Talk to yourself with the same gentleness you would offer a terrified friend. This softness signals safety to the nervous system, which helps to deactivate the fight or flight response. Furthermore, we must scrutinize the inputs. In the information age, we are drowning in data. We are constantly bombarded with news, opinions, tragedies, and the carefully curated highlight reels of other people's lives. For an overthinker, this is like throwing gasoline on a fire. The brain needs downtime. It needs emptiness. It needs boredom. If you fill every spare second with scrolling, podcasting, and consuming, you are never allowing your brain to process, to file away, to rest. You are keeping the engine revving in the red zone. Curating your environment is a mental health necessity. Turn off the news. Unfollow the accounts that make you feel inadequate. Create periods of digital silence. Go into nature. Nature is the ultimate antidote to the overthinking mind, because nature does not hurry, it does not worry, yet everything gets accomplished. Watching a tree or a river reminds you of a different rhythm of existence, a rhythm that is not driven by the neurotic ego. Ultimately, overcoming overthinking is a spiritual journey. It is a shift from trust in the intellect to trust in life itself. The overthinker believes they must carry the world on their shoulders, that if they stop thinking, the sky will fall. The path to peace is realizing that the sky will stay up without your help. It is realizing that you can handle what comes. It is building a trust in your own resilience. You have survived 100% of your bad days. You have navigated every crisis up to this point. You did not do it by worrying. You did it by adapting, by acting, by enduring. The future will present challenges, yes, but the future version of you will have the resources to meet them. You do not need to hoard solutions today for problems that do not yet exist. You can trust your future self. There is a concept in philosophy called amor fati, the love of fate. It is the idea of not just bearing what happens to you, but loving it, embracing it as the necessary material of your life. The overthinker rejects fate. They want to edit the script. Amor fati is the ultimate surrender. It is saying yes to the chaos. It is understanding that the wrong turns, the mistakes, the awkward moments, the failures, these are not deviations from the path. They are the path. They are the fire that forges the character. When you stop fearing the wrong outcome, you lose the need to overthink the decision. You realize that there are no wrong decisions, only different paths with different lessons. To be an overthinker is to be human, amplified. It is a sign of a mind that cares, a mind that wants to do right, a mind that is alive and active. It is not a curse, but a mechanism that needs calibration. By understanding the biology, the psychology, and the spirituality of this condition, we can move from being slaves to our thoughts, to being masters of our attention. We can learn to visit the past without living there. We can learn to plan for the future without terror. We can learn to inhabit the present moment, the only place where life actually happens. It is a practice, a daily discipline of bringing the wandering mind back home, again and again, like training a puppy. Stay here, we say. It's okay. You're safe. Just be here. And in that, here, in the quiet center of the storm, we find the peace that we were looking for all along. The peace that no amount of thinking could ever purchase. We also need to talk about the social aspect of venting. Overthinkers often believe that talking about their problems endlessly helps. We call it processing, but often it is just rehearsing. When we call a friend and recount the same drama for the 10th time, we are not releasing the emotion. We are reinforcing the neural pathways associated with that distress. We are keeping the wound fresh. This is known as co-rumination. It feels like bonding, but it is actually a mutual drowning. True processing involves feeling the emotion, understanding the message, and then moving toward a solution or acceptance. If you find yourself having the same conversation about the same problem with the same person for months, you are not processing, you are wallowing. You are using the conversation as a way to avoid taking the action that would actually solve the problem. The friend who truly loves you is the one who eventually says, "I love you, but I'm not going to talk about this with you anymore unless we are talking about what you are going to do about it." Finally, consider the role of identity. Many overthinkers have woven their anxiety into their sense of self. They identify as the neurotic one, the worrier, the intellectual. They wear their overthinking as a badge of honor, a sign of their depth or complexity. To let go of overthinking feels like a death of the personality. If I'm not worrying, who am I? Will I be boring? Will I be stupid? This is the ego trying to protect its territory. You are not your anxiety. You are not your thoughts. You are the consciousness behind them. You are the vast, spacious awareness in which the thoughts arise and fall. You are the ocean, not the waves. Letting go of the churn does not make you shallow, it makes you clear. A clear mind is a powerful mind. A clear mind can create, can love, can solve, can exist in joy. The depth you seek is not found in the complexity of your worry, but in the profundity of your presence. The journey out of overthinking is not a sprint, it is a pilgrimage. It requires patience. You will catch yourself spinning out at 3 a.m. You will catch yourself replaying the argument in the shower. You will catch yourself catastrophizing before the meeting. That is okay. The moment you catch yourself, you have won. That moment of noticing is the moment of waking up. You take a breath. You feel your feet on the floor. You look at the color of the wall. You come back. And you do it again, and again. And slowly, the noise begins to settle. The static clears, and you begin to hear a new voice, a quieter, steadier voice. The voice of your intuition. The voice of your heart. The voice that knows, without needing to think about it, that you are enough, that you are safe, and that you are exactly where you are meant to be.